The AlgoTradingNightEA has been on the marketplace since July of 2022, but recently it's been doing particularly well in the current market environment and has been making a pretty big resurgence. So I wanted to do this review so we can actually dive in detail to see what strategy it's running and why it has been performing so well as of late. This video is sponsored by Prosperity Algo and our free Golden Time Bomb Expert Advisor. Do you want to make 100+% annual returns through automating the London breakout and the opening range breakout? Then click the link in the description. So this is a classic night scalping bot. And night scalping is actually one of the highest edge forex strategies, because essentially the premise behind it is that at the end of New York session, around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or in the hour before 5 p.m. and the hour after, depending on the exact pair you're trading, or a couple hours, generally speaking, not much is happening. And why is pretty much not much happening in the market? Why are the markets super slow? There's very little volume being traded. Is because this is the point where New York is going home. So like your actual institutional traders are currently about to have dinner with their families. At the same time, London is still asleep and Asia is just waking up. So effectively you're at a time of the day where most people aren't trading yet. And most algos are also not really told to execute orders at this time, simply because quite often big institutional firms will supervise their algos even if there's no direct human intervention. So effectively during the night hours, because there's so little volume and so little volatility, price does tend to move sideways. And many expert advisors capitalize on this by using a mean reversion strategy. So essentially as price goes away from the average, or perhaps you have a bit of a spike during these very slow, low volume, low volatility hours, if you then were to either go long or short, depending on the direction of that spike, you can quickly make some money using a mean reversion premise. And I've developed bots that use this before. Our Golden Blackhawk does this, so I know this type of strategy works. And this particular EA has been around for a long time and is actually proving that this can be a very robust strategy long term too. And this particular one trades a whole basket of currency pairs, everything from US dollar Swiss franc to the GBP CHF, and the rest of them you're able to see here. And as you can see, it's been trading for several years by now with some rather good consistent returns. It seems like recently he has been cranking the returns a bit more. I'm curious as to if this has been due to increasing leverage or if it's just due to spectacular current performance in the market. But I can go through the actual trading statistics into detail in a few moments to see if he's actually doing that. But to conclude here on this page, we're seeing that it is indeed a classic night scalper. I wouldn't be surprised if it's using some sort of indicator-based entry, because generally speaking, most mean reversion systems are based on either an oscillator or some sort of Bollinger Band-based system. It just tends to be a lot easier to make something based on those. I personally have found that the stochastic works rather well for this type of system, so maybe he's using that. But you don't necessarily even need to have more of a price action based system for this type of bot. I've actually found that combining price action with an indicator works rather well here. Like for instance, a big candle with a confirmation from the stochastic. So your trigger is still price action based, whereas your filters are more indicator based, but everybody has their own style. So curious to see what exactly he's using. He also is mentioning that you can use a news filter and that obviously you need a very good broker for this to work. And it's actually quite broker sensitive, particularly around these spread hours. The actual data feed from brokers can vary a lot. So one system can be quite profitable with one broker, but be rather unprofitable with another. So it's really important to backtest this with your specific broker. And he's also actually mentioning this to you as well. So it's all a really, really good sign. This guy's also developed the King Sniper, I believe, which is also quite a good bot. So yeah, overall looking really good here so far. The one thing we'll look at is if the volume has been massively increasing recently. So let me go back to page 6, for instance, and maybe even page 13. So we do see not particularly massive increases in volume. Here we're seeing quite a few 0.5 lots. We're seeing some 0.7, some 0.8, but also some 0.3s. So it's not like we're seeing an enormous lot scaling. So actually from what I can see so far, it's just in the past few months, maybe due with all this increased volatility, and maybe just how markets have been behaving in response to more the significant tariff volatility, this system has been performing extremely well. So yeah, very exciting so far. It looks like a real strategy, and it appears to also be performing extremely well for many years. So let me go and run a back test here. And the issue is the back test was a little bit weird. He initially said to run it on the, I believe it's the Swiss franc. Let me pull it up here. I think USD, yes, USD Swiss franc on the M5 currency pair. I did that originally and it only made a few trades, despite the fact that I fixed the suffix. So that was a bit odd in my opinion. But so I instead chose to run it on the Euro USD, where it gave a more like consistent performance. But still, it's not trading that much, which is a bit strange. And even if we zoom out here on the H1 just to see where it's trading, it does indeed match what he's saying. It is actually trading a night scalping system using a mean reverting context. But for whatever reason, it's not trading a whole lot. So that might be something which you would want to ask the developer if you were to actually look at buying this bot more seriously. But let's just run a quick visual back test here to see how it's performing in that context too. So let's use his recommended settings of the Swiss franc on the M5 time frame with the visual back test mode. And whoa, this thing is running a boatload of indicators. Okay, so as expected, he's using many indicators. This looks like a Bollinger Band to me. So I was expecting it to actually use a Bollinger Band, but he's also using a whole cluster of moving averages there. Wow. And he is running the Swiss franc. And I guess once it starts to open positions, it will open other charts too. Whew, we're seeing an RSI there too. Wow. Okay, so yeah, exactly as expected. It's running a mean reversion system here at night hours. It's using Bollinger Bands likely as the trigger, where it's using a whole cluster of moving averages as more filters. He's also using an ATR as likely a way to set take profits and stop losses. So definitely a real system. So to conclude, this is a real trading bot. It has performed really well for a long time. So I think it's actually quite a solid bot. One thing to note with this type of system is it's very broker sensitive. So maybe it's not even trading super well here on 8cap just based on how the spread hours are. Maybe if I were to try this on IC markets, it would look quite different. So if you like this type of system, likely you're going to see an inverted risk reward. We can actually check his signal here just to make sure. If we go to the statistics here, super high win rate, and wow, we're actually not even seeing all that inverted of a risk reward, which is quite interesting actually. Yeah, average profit is higher than the average loss. Wow, okay, this is very impressive. Maybe he's just having so many Maybe he's just having so many trades that it's kind of hiding the bigger losses, because I would have expected this to be an inverted one. But regardless, it's a very good system, running a real strategy. It doesn't appear to be any manipulation here. So kudos to the developer, looks really good. One thing to note, indicator systems can sometimes break down. If I were to give it a con, it's less robust than more price action systems, and he's using a lot of indicators. There's always a bit of an overfitting or over-optimization risk. But the fact that this thing was published in 2022 and is still performing well is an extremely good sign. So this looks like to be a very good bot in my opinion. Kudos to the developer, and once again it shows that night scalping is a powerful strategy. And that's why many bots are based on this. Forex Fury is one of the most popular bots on the general EA world. It's also based on a similar strategy and proves to be a very good, very robust method. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Take care. Have yourselves a great day.